Uh-oh, we're getting into it. Round 5. We got a Towson? Wow, Towson going up against Chrono. Chrono of KTOD fame. Shout out to Chrono. I love Chrono. It's funny because I always joke that Chrono is in my head because every time Chrono speaks on UB, it feels like it's coming out of my mouth. But regardless, Chrono actually was playing Towson in the team event, which was pretty cool. Very interesting. Had some spicy tech that won one of the games on stream. It wasn't that spicy. It was Let's Call It War. But Hantu ECL seems to be Chrono's baby, at least for this set. Normally a Sabine ECL player or aggro variety player. Leaning into the Han version here. We're several turns in. So we do see a Chariot on the board, which is pretty obnoxious if you are the Han player. Leading into the deploy turn for each player. Jar Jar is an option. Obviously, we have Sudden Ferocity potential. The main deck tie is very interesting. Supremacy tie. I agree with it, which is part of the reason why it's notable. But that is Admiral Akbar, question mark? We do have 2 spies and a Nemec hiding under the overlay here. Just like, he's right there, if you can see him. Clearing out the spies with Karis. The hero Karis is sitting on, still available. Chrono appropriately prepping the board for the inevitable deploy. Going base for 3. We're just racing at this stage. There's a plethora of targets for Towson to kill. We do see, looks like Force Lightning in hand. Can't quite make out the other cards. Can't quite tell. We're going to expend the Force. Shrink something. Didn't point to it, so I'm not quite sure. But we are getting a plot, it would appear. 3, 4. We get a Jar Jar. Why tap 4? We're 2 tapped from something else? Oh, because he cheated out the Akbar. Okay. Cheated out the Akbar, that's why. So the Han presumably got the buff, which makes him a 5/8. He is not dying this turn. Unless there is a lightsaber. And being at 16 and giving up initiative as the Towson player is extremely frightening. So we're going to go all in on a Force Lightning, which will eliminate Han. That leaves a bunch of idiots on the side of the Han pilot. I know I keep saying that. Get a Bounty Hunter score going down on Karis. That's going to represent some additional board position, of course. 2-for-1 potential coming in. I have to imagine it's going to. The question is, what is going to get removed? Action is to... Yep, there we go. We're going to attack the token, kill off Jar Jar. Makes sense. Those are the freebies. That means that initiative goes to our Han player. Resource 6, ECL still live. So, like, ECL Wrecker here is back-breaking. And I have a feeling. Yeah. You've been seeing it since set 2. It's a pretty good setup. We're going to deal 5 to the Karis. We're going to run over the Mother Towson. That's going to also produce a body. Presumably, like, you're going 10 cards deep in an aggro deck. You're going to hit something. Seems pretty good. We're going to burn the Force to kill Karis, but we're going to reveal Poe to make the token. And then now we're going to trigger Bounty Hunter's Quarry. So we had a few different things going on there. Ooh, are you going to whiff? That was a lot of not 3 or less costs. Okay, we get an Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's cool. Obi-Wan's cool. It will, in fact, protect. There aren't a lot of ambush options. I mean, especially not without the Force. No Darth Tyrannus here. Would not have been able to push through Obi-Wan anyway. 2 to base. Dude, Akbar is so nuts in this deck. There is, in fact, a Darth Tyrannus, but no ambush. Big ol' sad face. There is a Fallen Lightsaber in hand. We have a Night Sister Warrior. If I'm Chrono, yeah, I'm just claiming. You don't care about the Akbar damage. Your opponent's at 13. You have a Wrecker on board. I feel like they should have more damage on base. That turn felt way more impactful than that. But either way, going to 20. Big ol' Wrecker smack. Tyrannus or something is going to have to deal with the Wrecker. That looks like a Devastator in hand. It looks like the Showdown Devastator. And a Talzin's Assassin. So there are a few different options in order to deal with the Wrecker. However, all right, so we're going to elect to put it on the Assassin. Diversifying options here. Base for Dose. 22. Kill off Obi. Akbar still a live threat. Cassian will tank this stuff. Oh yeah, we're taking 1 damage from the Fallen Saber trigger. Heal down to 10. Put your opponent up to 23. 4 resources means a dead Wrecker. Yep. Cassian means that a Daring Raid is lethal. We have a Gorilla Attack Pod. Hard cast, so it's only 4 attack. You have to do this because otherwise the Tyrannus just eats it. But it does come in ready because of the damage that is on the base. So 4 to base. We're going to trade damage here. You got to go base. The problem is that now our Talzin player should claim, and it looks like they did. It means that an attack from the... Wait, what just happened? Oh, no. Oh, not like this. So it looked like Chrono was picking up his cards, I think, under the assumption that his opponent scooped. I don't know how they're going to resolve this. So what I was starting to say is that the Night Sister can crash into something and basically cleared the board. The on-attack trigger into the Gorilla Attack Pod, wipe everything out. The empty board from that position is really tough because there's only 11 life remaining, so it's a question of whether Chrono would happen to have the ability to close the distance from hand. So we'll see who... So Chrono did end up getting that game. My guess is that they happen to have a Daring Raid in hand or something like that. One of our locals just got a car, and immediately everybody started roasting him. Good for him. I apparently was muted in Discord, so that's my bad. I was muted in Discord, so that's my bad. I was, in fact, reacting to everything going on. When I had stepped away to go check on food and stuff, I had muted the mic, so I forgot. My bad. So you'll have to watch the YouTube video for my reaction to the end of that game. Was that a Jester's Cap token? Shout out to people who played Magic the Gathering in like 1995 when Ice Age came out. I think it was 95. I remember at the time that card came out and like it was played in a lot of stuff. And it was like, for me, that was like a really expensive card. It was $20. I'm like, man, that's so expensive. How can anybody afford to get these? That's $80. And now it's just like, yeah, we're complaining the prices are too cheap in SWO, which is funny. All right, let's see what we got. So yeah, a little procedural issue at the end of the last game. We'll see how this one goes. We'll have to see what the fallout is after the round ends. I'm sure the players will volunteer it. But yeah, the old rock decks in BIATL seem to be doing well, at least in this pool. They didn't in the initial ones. We're going to see how Talisman responds. I do see a Fallen Lightsaber there, which is something you want to set up on the deploy turn, but the Karis Nemec start from Han, not exactly thrilling if you're in the blue villain shoes. It does mean it can trade with your Force guy. You will get the Force. So we're going to see the early lightsaber. Oh, with the early answer, kapow, disabling Fang Fighter coming in, just popping that lightsaber, exactly what Chrono needed. CJ here would be probably in, I'm not going to lie, in deep shit if that lightsaber had actually stuck. Instead, we're going to trade blows on base. Lightsabers to me kind of are in the pilot category. I hate them. Because it's just like, oh, you hit an early lightsaber. If I have the thing, like if you don't have the answer, you're probably cooked. If you do have the answer, it sets me back an eternity. Like that's being able to advance the Fang Fighter and kill the thing is a big deal. I don't know. Either way, we got a Chariot coming down. No immediate easy answer to it. So this is going to allow, ooh, okay, we're actually going to kill the Nemec. This puts the spy on the board, trading the shield for a guy that kind of can't do anything right now. You could make them burn the Force, but that's not what you want. Get a blue leader. We're gonna lane dodge to space, which I completely understand. Bounty Hunter's Quarry on the Chariot. That's definitely got to happen. That's interesting to me. Like, why waste the spy token there? You get them to burn the Force, but they have 2 Force units on the board. They're clearly going to attack. They're just going to generate the Force again. I don't know what the goal for that was. So we're now on deploy turn. Chrono running the Mace Windu Galactic sleeves, just naked, no... Ooh, Cad Bane on the deploy. That snipes the disabling Fang Fighter. And all of a sudden, that board position is looking strikingly different. I'm not a fan of that as a Han pilot. Or as the Han pilot. Yikes. You don't want to burn ECL. Like, you really don't want to if you don't have to. No plot. No Jar Jar. No nothing. 3 to base. We're going to shrink Han. You could ECL Poe, but they have the Force. We are going to ECL Poe. So that means you must send the 2 at Chariot in order to eliminate him. Well, I take that back. You could split it and run Han in. But we are going to ping Chariot. That will generate more board position thanks to the Bounty Hunter's Quarry. It's kind of an awkward card to use in this deck sometimes. Like the first times you look at it and play it, it's like, why am I running this card? But the reality is that you can find turns like the previous one on R4 where, oh, I have this spare resource. I'll just play this and set it up on the next turn and get these big blowout turns. No, those aren't the sleeves. It was Obi sleeves. 'Twas the Obi sleeves. So we do have a rather vulnerable Poe. Presumably, we're going to see... I would kind of expect the Secretive Sage to run into Poe. The reason being is that you could then use the Talzin attack to clean up the Poe. Assuming that Chrono attacks, Chrono should probably claim then in order to get the Poe attack in. Ooh, we're just going to get the immediate claim. 3 to base, 11 to 8. Very, very tight damage-wise. Red 5 and blue leader in the air. Something is going to have to deal with that Poe, which will then get eaten alive by red 5. But this isn't nearly as commanding a position as we saw in the last game. And since ECL was burned, that means, of course, that there isn't going to be a blowout wrecker play. Talzin Assassin is the answer of choice to eliminate Poe. 3 more to base thanks to the Han leader. But we're representing 3, 7, 9 damage on the ground. That means lethal next turn. So you need to set up lethal this turn and somehow faster than your opponent if you're in CJ's shoes. 3 for a Poe pilot. Looks like we're going to pilot one of the existing ships and just create an X-Wing token. Those sure look like the Galactic one. CJ kind of rocking out with the almost max rarity stuff. Not quite max rarity. All right, the +2/+2, or +2/+3 rather, from Poe. Pushing a little bit of extra damage. 22 in the air. We got a Sabine's Masterpiece. 8 damage is actually enough to get there if you are Talzin, right? Am I miscounting? No, that is enough. So I'm not sure exactly how you get out of this if you're playing Han. Aggressive negotiations could do it. I don't know how many cards are in hand. Are we negotiating aggressively? My guess is not, because he would have played it by now. I don't believe that this is winnable. You need 2 more damage from something. Yeah, and that's not going to do it. Got to go on to the next one. I think the debate was trying to figure out, is there any way you could bait your opponent into doing something other than attacking you? But there's really no way. You are actually only 1 damage short because the Sabine's Masterpiece represented 5. So the Masterpiece could have swung in, given itself an experience, as well as pinged, because there was a green and red unit on the board. And I don't think... You were 22, put you at 27. Yeah, there was no other way to push the extra damage. I don't think any damage was missed at any point either. But yeah, aggressively negotiating would have been the out there. There was one turn where I think the Talzin shrunk something, and that was the difference. It did 1 less damage, and that kept the Talzin player alive. So the question is, can Han pull it back, or is Talzin going to close this one out? I am very surprised to see Talzin making this deep of a run. We'll have to check afterwards to see what the records are. This is round 5, so there's only 2 more after this. for we will have officially our top 16 for the playoffs tomorrow. And then we also have the top 8 of the team event tomorrow morning. Going in, I do feel like this is Han favored, most likely. But I am not very high on the Talzin list in general. Now, I haven't seen this particular version from the Cantina crew, Colorado Cantina crew. Whoop. You can see I clicked on a link in Discord because we're trying to, it's only $65. Sweet. It's back in stock. All right, I'm picking this up. Shout out to everybody from New Jersey. We got a little Jersey Devil here. We'll deal with that later. I didn't actually mean to click that link. I may be spending $65 later. That wasn't directed at my wife, but she happened to be walking past when I said it. Which makes it way funnier. We're in the lead up to Christmas, so it's like nobody buys anything. Which is good because eBay, that thing was $100, which it's probably worth $100, but anyway. Leading the A-wing. You do want to be in space if you can help it into this matchup. We're not at 22. We're in fact at 0, Talzin. With the initiative here, it does matter having the initiative, just getting that extra strike in. Like maybe something would have attacked that didn't otherwise get to in the last game and thereby leading to a W. The naked Han flip, I mean, you did get the ambush Poe. We got the Fang Fighter. So contrary to what I was saying about the blowout with the lightsabers, we were able to Fang Fighter it last game and did not lead to a W despite the tempo loss. However, imagine if it wasn't Fang Fightered. The game probably just ends on the spot, right? And that doesn't feel good. Of like, turn 2, I played this card, you lose. That does not seem good. So we do get the Talzin's Assassin. That's going to snipe the disabling Fang Fighter. Ooh. We got a big blue leader. Big blue leader, still 1 health, but because there's no force thanks to the Talzin's Assassin, it is going to get to survive this particular exchange. Can't sack the Karis or activate the Karis when defeated to kill it. And 5 damage is a significant chunk. So we'll see if we're just going to sink Assassin in, or are we going to try and get greedy? Ooh, now the question is, yep, we're going to go base. That means Talzin is going to feast, going to kill that thing off. It should have, or no, it only has 2 damage on it. What am I saying? You're not going to be able to, wait, what? Yes, it does have 4 because you had to power it out with Han. So I was correct. And then I tried to correct myself and I was wrong with the correction. And then it turned out to be correct. Something like that. The 2 damage from Han plus the 2 damage from the Karis means it only had 1 health left, and then the Talzin activation gets it. Second lightsaber would probably be catastrophic. I can't quite tell if that's second lightsaber in there, but we're going to get the Han deploy. Talzin shrinking the Han. No, we're punching the Han. Okay. And we do have the force, so we're going to go base. This does mean a... Oh, Chirrut comes in. I was going to say, this does mean Tyrannus can eliminate the Han. We're going to go 3... Could be powering something out, but I'm not sure. Okay, so we're powering out a Poe. We're actually going to put it in the Green Squad. That's interesting. That does push the Green Squadron out of range of the of a future assassin. Keeps it also out of range of takedowns. Not in range of fell. Notably, if you put it in the X-Wing, it would still be hit by takedown. I don't know if that's intentionally trying to dodge that particular removal, or it's condensing actions so that it's like, this is my best threat. I'd rather have Poe in that to require less actions to get there. But a big life differential this time around, especially compared to the previous game, and notably, ECL was not expended yet. So a wrecker here is going to be absolutely crushing. In fact, this time, when you pop the Chirrut and ambush into Talzin, it's going to overwhelm damage instead of just simply killing it. Secretive Sage to probably just kind of pass action. That looks like another assassin in hand. So we're going to go, what is that, 5 to base? 21. Tyrannus comes down. Gonna nuke Han. There aren't any 7 drops in this deck, so that doesn't really change the math all that much. I'm guessing there is not a wrecker, or that probably would have been played. So we're going to shrink Obi-Wan. Going base. Is there a wrecker? There is a wrecker. Okay, so we were just trying to get the X-Wing damage first. So we're trying to see, is there enough damage? I think the most you can get is 4. Oh, so we're actually going to run over... Yeah, we're going to kill the Chirrut with the damage, and then we're going to run over the assassin. That prevents the assassin removing the Obi-Wan, which doesn't really matter, and then that's going to be lethal. And GG. That's closer to what we saw game 1, closer to what I would expect this matchup to go like. Game 2, maybe it is initiative. Maybe it is initiative going into a particular turn. I don't know. But anyway, GG, well played.